Today you're learning one of the most beautiful guitar intros ever written, the opening chord progression to Stairway to Heaven by Led Zeppelin. This iconic part is perfect for beginners or if you're new to fingerstyle, and it sounds awesome. So grab your guitar and let's learn it step by step with tabs on screen. The first time I heard Stairway to Heaven, I was hooked. Jimmy Page's fingerpicking sounded so ancient and perfect. This intro still hits different. The guitar tells a story without words. What does this song mean to you, though? Share your Led Zeppelin moment in the comments below. I can't wait to read them. But first, a real quick shout out to this sweet pedal by Legato, the Tank G effect processor. This thing is the best budget multi-effects pedal out there right now, and you can check it out with my affiliate link in the description below. Thanks for supporting the channel by clicking it. Alright, let's learn this intro. The Stairway to Heaven intro is played in standard tuning. We're focusing on the first 16 measures, the intro chord progression that sets the song's tone. Tabs are on screen. We'll go slow. In this song we're going to be using finger picking with the right hand, which means I'm going to use my thumb for the E, A, and D string, and my index finger will cover the G string notes, my middle finger will cover the B string notes, and my ring finger will cover the high E string. So follow along with that when I give detailed right hand finger picking on this. We're going to start this off with an A minor chord at the 7th fret of the D string, and we're going to bar the 5th fret across the first 3 strings. So hold that bar there while adding this ring finger, and we're going to pick just like I just talked about, the thumb, index, middle, ring across those 4 strings. Now I'm going to leave my bar held as I add the 6th fret to the D string and my pinky on the 7th fret of the high E string. And we'll pick both of those notes together, the D string and E string, then the 2nd string, 3rd string, 1st string. Slowly once again. I recommend practicing each of these measures slowly on a loop several times over until you get real clean at them. So this example here in measure 1. Now try that on your own a few times over before we move on to measure 2. Now in measure 2 for this C chord, we're going to be barring 4 strings at the 5th fret, and then we're going to add our pinky on the 8th fret of the high E string here. We're going to pick the D and E string together simultaneously, then the 2nd string and 3rd string, back to the 1st string. Then we'll move to the D chord, which drops way down here to the 4th fret of the D string, and I'm going to bar the 2nd fret for 3 strings and add my middle finger on the 3rd fret of the B string. So that looks like this here. And we'll pick the D and E string together as well, to the 2nd string, 3rd string, and 1st string. Now get some practice in on measure 2, looping it slowly. Pause the video if you need to get some practice on this measure before we move on to the next one. In measure 3, we're just using an F major 7 shape here, which is the 3rd fret of the D string, 2nd fret of the G string, and 1st fret of the B string with the open high E string. We'll pick the D and high E together, and the 2nd string, 3rd string, 2nd string, hold that for just a moment, then pick the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd string. One more time slowly. Then in measure 4 we're going to be doing a G chord with a B in the bass, which is quite simple in this case. We're just going to be holding the 2nd fret of the A string here and picking open strings with these other fingers. So I'm going to pick the A string, the G string, and the B string at the same time. Then I'm going to form an A minor chord here by adding my 2nd fret at the 3rd string with my ring finger and the 1st fret of the B string with my index finger, and I'll pick those same 3 strings one more time. So I pick that twice. So watch this slowly. Then we do this little lick at the end where we pick the A string and the G string at the same time here with this ring finger still planted. Then we're going to jump up to 8 on the A string and 7 on the A string right after that. So that looks like this here. Now I've got a practice play along for you. Let's take the first 4 measures at 70% of the gold tempo 2 times through. Get your guitar ready. Measures 5 through 8 are almost identical to measures 1 through 4. There's only 2 changes, so I want to point those out briefly here. At measure 5, you'll notice that we start with the open A string instead of the 7th fret of the D string. So it's a slight change there as it walks up from there. The open A to the 7th fret, the 5th fret, and 5th fret to the B string. Then it changes to the E sharp 5 chord there. So just watch out for that one minor change. And then look at measure 8 now. At the end, instead of doing the slide like we did before, we're just going to do an open A string to the 2nd fret. At measure 9 now we're using a simple C chord without the index finger. So you've got the 3rd fret of the A string, 2nd fret of the D string, and then we'll use the open G and open E strings on this. So watch this. I'm going to use my thumb on the A string and the D string, and my index finger on the open G string, and my ring finger on the open E string. Then I'm going to go to this D chord, standard D chord, 2nd fret of the 3rd string, 2nd fret of the 1st string, and the ring finger on the 3rd fret of the B string there. We're going to pick the D string and 1st string at the same time, to the 2nd string, 3rd string, and back to the 1st string. In measure 10, we're using the F major 7 chord again. We're at the 3rd fret of the D string, 2nd fret of the G string, and 1st fret of the B string. I'm going to pick the D and E string at the same time, to the 2nd string, 3rd string, and 1st string. Go to an A minor chord here, but we really only need this middle finger to stay where it is, and do the open A and open B string and pick the 3rd string. Then I'm going to do a little walk up here on the open A string to the 2nd fret. So that measure once again slowly. Pause the video if you need to get some practice on these 2 measures 9 and 10 before we move on to 11. And here we go to measure 11, starting on a C chord. We're going to pick the A string and B string at the same time, to the 3rd string and 4th string with my thumb, then back to the 2nd string. Then I'm going to go to a G chord with my ring finger moving up to the 3rd fret and my pinky moving down to the 3rd fret of both E strings. Pick those at the same time, and pick the 2nd and 3rd string, and then back to the first string. Measure 11 one more time here. In measure 12, we're just using a D chord with a pull off of the pinky, so we'll use our standard fingering of the D chord here, 2nd fret of the 3rd string, 2nd fret of the 1st string, the ring finger on the 3rd fret of the 2nd string, but we want to add our pinky also here at the 3rd fret of the 1st string to start this off. We're going to pick the open D string and the 1st string at the same time, but then pull off that pinky. Okay, then pick all 4 strings at the same time, thumb, index, middle, ring, and do that again. Alright, here's the whole thing slowly once again. And we'll do a little walk up again from the A string, open, to the 2nd fret. Get your guitar ready for a practice play along of measures 9 through 12. Let's take it at 70% of the goal tempo 2 times through. Let's go. Measures 13 through 16 are very similar to measures 9 through 12. There's only a couple of changes, so let's take a look. Starting off with the C chord at measures 13, originally we picked the A, D, G, and high E string, but in this case on measure 13 you'll pick the 5th, 4th, 3rd, and 2nd string, then switch to the D chord just like before. Alright, the F major 7 remains the same, the A minor. Then when we go to this C chord, instead of doing the A and B string at the same time, we'll just pick the A string only and walk up the C chord. 5th, 4th, 3rd, and 2nd string on that. Then switch to the D chord, 4th, 3rd, 2nd, and 1st string. And then on the end here we've got this F major 7, and I'm going to do a strum with my index finger, down, up, down. Alright, pause the video now if you need to get any practice in on these sections individually. We're going to take the whole intro now at 70% of the goal tempo, so get ready. Let's go. And there it is, the Stairway to Heaven intro, ready to make you feel like Jimmy Page. Keep practicing and you'll have this haunting arpeggio down in no time. Smash that like button and share it with a friend, and let me know in the comments what song you'd like to learn next. Check out one of my other tutorials like Sweet Child of Mine or Smells Like Teen Spirit for more rock vibes. Links in the description. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in one of these videos next.